then I really believe that the U.S. government would turn itself on the people like this one has. Folks, this is a trial run. Right now you're seeing federal troops, National Guard deployed in Washington, D.C. Why do you think that is? You need to ask this critical question. What's all this really about? Nope. Somebody said during the election, if you just vote for me this one time, you'll never have to vote again. You should take that man at his word. Soon as the election tables turn and the tides turn, those troops are going to be in Washington for a reason. We have to stop it, and we have to stop it now. Your voices are important. Your voices can be heard. And I just have one major question. Where is Congress? They can stop this with one effort. They are complicit in what you're seeing, and they're complicit in destroying this nation. We have to stop them now. Democracy over authoritarianism, we will not stand for this. So, let's all stay together, keep together. They, folks that be the powers that are there now, plan on us giving up. They plan on us quitting. Has anybody out here got quit in them? No. So, let's band together. Recruit your neighbors and friends, because at some point in the very, very near future, it's going to impact every one of you. This charade has to end, and it has to end now. One of the things that the folks up in Washington are attacking are our public school system. They don't want public schools. They've been against it since the beginning. The ultra-right wing doesn't want an educated population unless it's their kids. From the Parents for Public Schools, we have going to be speaking today, Joanne Rickens. Woo! And here she comes. You're first on my list, so here we go. I don't know, but without further ado, give a good round of applause for Miss Joanne Rickens.
I had no idea I'd be first. This is my first time speaking at a rally like this, and let me tell you, I feel so honored and privileged to be here. Thanks so much for coming out today, and I am really pleased to be here to talk with you on a subject that is near to and dear to my heart, and that's public schools. I am a product of public schools, and you can probably tell from my gray hair that I started public schools when schools were still segregated. So I've lived through all those times, and what I see today is a step backward. I see that we are trying to, when we talk about making America great again, there are some things about America that don't need to be reinstated. There are some things that we need to continue to move forward. Now, even though our name is Parents for Public Schools, that does not mean we're leaving anyone else out. We call you education stakeholders because you recognize the connection between education and healthy communities. You recognize the connection between education and workers who can fill jobs. You recognize the connection between education and good citizens who are able to do the work of democracy. You recognize the connection. We believe it all starts with education. And if it weren't so important, why did people work so hard to stop from becoming educated? Why is it seen? So what we want to do today, what I could do today is talk about a myriad of issues around public education. But I want to hone in on just one, and that is privatization. What we see now is an attack on public schools. And keep in mind, I've been around public schools since I started in the 50s. So I know how things used to be, and I know where we're moving forward. And what I see is a real effort to kill our public schools. And that might sound like hyperbole, but it's not. What we're seeing is a lot of privatization under the banner of school choice. Now let me be very clear. Parents for public schools, or PPS, I need water. I'm getting all choked up.
Please.
Parents for public schools. Whoa. All right, let me try again. Thank you.
Hey.
I might need that one too. Let me make it very clear. We at PPS are not against choice. We recognize that every parent has a responsibility to make the choices for their children's lives, be it education, medical care, whatever. That is your responsibility as a parent or as the caregiver in a child's life to make the decisions that are best for them. Where we depart from choice is when you ask us to use public dollars to pay for private choices.
Exactly.
Parents have always been able to choose, or we would not have had segregation academies. We would not have parochial schools. We would not have other forms of private schools. Parents have always had the choice. But what we see masquerading as choice today, and I do believe it's masquerading, is this move toward privatizing public education. That's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one. But what we see are taking dollars away from public education and siphoning them off to other forms of education.
Yep.
I attended a committee meeting at the Capitol last week. Speaker Jason White has established a committee, I think it's called the Education Freedom Committee. And the purpose of that committee is to try and create what school choice, and that is universal choice, what it will look like for Mississippi. And the two speakers at that initial meeting, there will be other meetings where they assure us there will be they're presenting other views. But we had two members from the Trump administration who provided information to that committee. One of the young ladies who presented information is a former staffer at the Heritage Foundation. We know about them, don't we?
Boo!
They created Project 2025. And if you look at Project 2025 as to what it wants for education, you will see that they're going down the checklist. Get rid of the Department of Education. Bring in universal school choice. I can go on and on. What I want to encourage you to do today is to sit in on the meetings of that Freedom Choice, of the Education Freedom Committee. Because believe it or not, folks, we already have education freedom. What we don't have are the tax credits if you pay tuition at your child's school. What we don't have is using public dollars to send your child to a school affiliated with a particular faith. I don't know
Exactly.
what's happened to separation of church and state, but that's also on the agenda. And so I encourage you to keep your eyes open. I don't think I need to tell this crowd that. Attend those meetings. Find out what the plan is. I believe Jason White put it to make sure we get the best school choice plan for Mississippi. Well, we need to make sure that yes, we protect school choice, but we also protect public dollars. We can.
Yes.
Now they gave a lot of examples and made a lot of spurious, I think, suggestions as to the fact that voucher programs aren't costly, that they don't take money away. And so one of the questions that was asked in the committee was, what about rural communities in Mississippi? You know, we have a few of those. What about rural communities where there are no other schools? What is happening to the public dollars where there is no choice? And keep in mind, we're talking about a state that's fully funded public education twice in the last 20 years. So you continue to underfund the public schools and yet you want to keep taking money out of the public school bucket. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so, Parents for Public Schools is out there we're fighting against it. I hope you will follow us on social media. I hope you will sign up to get our newsletter and our clearinghouse so you can stay abreast of what is happening with school choice. But let me say, Parents for Public Schools is not against a parent deciding what is the best educational choice for their child. What we are against is pulling public dollars away from the schools where most of our children are currently educated and giving them to others. And I can give you a lot of data, but keep in mind what we've seen in the research is most of the folks who are taking advantage of vouchers are people whose children were already in private school. So what we're doing is we're giving people money from our tax dollars to continue doing what they were doing anyway. And so I think I've talked long enough. There are a lot of people here who are going to speak, but let me share with you. Parents for Public Schools started in Jackson in 1989. And we went to a national organization in 1991. And as early as 1996, we saw the need to make a statement on public school vouchers. So now we're in 2025. This statement was put in place for our organization in 1996. And it says, in keeping with our mission, PPS unequivocally opposes vouchers, tuition tax credits, or any programs which divert public resources from the public schools or that divide the potential constituency for those schools. PBS values the rights and responsibilities of parents to be decision makers in the public schools and favors choice within the public school system. We believe issues of such choice should be decided at the local level, not in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much, and I hope
Thank you, Joanne. You know, there's been a lot of news the past couple of weeks about school safety being number one. Just had another really tragic incident in the middle part of the United States. And Congress did what they normally do. They immediately came out and said, this is just another attempt for them to snatch your guns and take their guns away.
Ridiculous.
Every time I hear that, it makes me sick to my stomach. Absolutely. You know, children have a right to be free and safe in schools as well.
Woo! Yes.
There's more amendments to our Constitution than the second.
Exactly.
The First Amendment's important too. And it's just exactly what Miss Joanne was talking about. She did mention it. We don't want indoctrinating our kids in a particular religious point of view in the school system.
Exactly.
That's the job of the parents at home.
Exactly.
Not the government and not the school system. Unless you choose to send your kid to a school that teaches certain religious ideology, then you should not be forced to sit in a public school and endure such because somebody in Washington thought it was a good idea.
Exactly. Woo!
And now from the president of the Mississippi Association of Educators, Ms. Darian Spann, is going to talk to you a little bit about education, public education in Mississippi, and what her group's doing about it. In the meantime, remember this, your voices matter. Call your congressman. Diane over here has information about an app called the 5 Calls Act.
Yeah.
Use it. Blow their phones up. Let them know. Let them know we're watching. They expect us to run out of gas and run out of energy, and then it's business as usual for them. Make this time different. And without further ado, Mr. Darian Spann.
Good afternoon. My name is Darian Spann. I currently serve as president of the Mississippi Association of Educators. I'm in my 22nd year in education. I taught high school English for 14 years, 6 years here in Jackson. I went to McGee High School and taught. I taught in Vicksburg. In the last 7 years, I served as an administrator in Starkville. Workers over billionaires. It is essential that we understand what that looks like for our public school educators who stand up every day for our students. We stand for racial justice. We stand for immigrants' rights. We stand for LGBTQIA+ equality. We stand for justice for all. And we stand against this rise in fascism. Thank you. Thank you for this invitation and opportunity to speak on behalf of educators. I know many ask, what business do educators have in this fight? Everything that affects our students, our teachers, or the school communities puts us directly in the fight. It is more than just teaching and learning when students do not feel safe. So today, I stand before you to talk about something that touches each one of us, and that's public education. Public education is not just an institution. It's the foundation of our society. It shapes our minds, builds our communities, and prepares us toward a better future. But right now, our education system faces some serious challenges, and we must tackle them head on. First, let's talk about educators. Our educators are the backbone of our school system. They are the ones molding the leaders, innovators, and thinkers of tomorrow. Yet, too many of them are undervalued and underpaid. It's time we recognize their work and give them the compensation they deserve.
Yeah. Woo!
Even after the passage of a huge pay increase a few years ago, due to the increase in health insurance, teachers did not see the increase. Too many teachers are still working additional jobs to make ends meet. This should not be the case for professionals we entrust to prepare our greatest commodities for the future. Let's not have the title. Let's remember that all school professionals working with students do not just have the title teachers, but what they do is vitally important, like our speech pathologists and interventionists. Imagine waking up every morning to shape the minds of our children, only to feel financially stressed and overwhelmed. That's the reality for many of our teachers today. A pay raise isn't just about money, it's about respect. When we invest in teachers, we invest in our future. Higher salaries attract better talent, reduce turnover, and ultimately lead to a better education for our children. So let's raise our voices and demand that policymakers prioritize competitive salaries for our teachers. While I'm on the subject of teacher pay raise, let's also include pay raise for our education support professionals, our teacher assistants, who work hand in hand with teachers to ensure students are learning and growing. Our bus drivers, who are the first and last to see our students each day. Our cafeteria workers, where many students only 2 meals in a day come from. Our custodians, who work tirelessly to ensure buildings are clean. Now, while we're on the topic of education, let's address an issue that has been driving us, school choice. Many argue that parents should have the right to choose where their children go to school. But let's think about this critically. When we funnel public dollars into private schools, we're taking resources away from our public schools where 90% of our students attend. This trend doesn't just hurt our teachers, it's created inequality that is hard to overcome. House Speaker White said at the Neshoba County Fair that our current system often falls short of delivering quality options for all students, and the economically disadvantaged communities in Mississippi have been left with too few options for far too long. Did he quickly forget that Mississippi is now 16th in the nation, and that it was done because of the hard work of teachers with limited resources? Did he also forget that private schools cherry pick their students, so those economically disadvantaged communities will still be left out? My question is, who is this really benefiting? Investing in public education is essential. It ensures that all students, regardless of their zip codes, have access to quality education. Don't let everyone convince you otherwise. Our public schools have the potential to provide exceptional education if only given the right support.
Exactly.
And speaking of support, we can't overlook the mental health challenges our students face.
Yes.
The pressure of academic achievement, social dynamics, and global issues weighs heavily on our youth. We need to prioritize mental health support in schools. Imagine a world where every school has a dedicated mental health professional ready to support students through their struggles. Providing mental health services isn't just nice to have, it's essential for our students'
Exactly.
well-being and academic success. When we give our students the tools to manage their emotional distress, we create an environment where they can thrive. This mental health support goes far beyond our students. We need to make sure we are supporting the mental health of our educators. So let's advocate for increased mental health resources in our schools. Together, we can make a difference. Now let's return to the topic of public versus private education. It's crucial that we fight to keep our public dollars within our public education system. We need to ensure that every cent of taxpayer money is invested into the schools meant to serve every child in our community, as deemed in the state's constitution. Public schools are designed to be inclusive and accessible to all children, and that's why they should be our priority. As we push for more resources and funding in public education, let's stand united against policies that divert those funds to private institutions. Public education should not be a privilege for the few, but a right for all.
I had to swap my hands.
This is not a partisan issue. Education is key to unlocking potential, equality, and opportunities in our society. Let's advocate for fair teacher pay, reject the notion that school choice is the answer, increase mental health support for every student and educator, and above all, ensure public dollars serve public education. Together, Let's stand up for the future. Let's embolden our educators, uplift our students, and advocate for a system that works for everyone. Education is not just a topic, it's a movement, and we are the ones who will drive the change. Thank you.
Woo! Yep.
I have a question, and it's one based in ignorance. How many senior teachers in Mississippi make $129,000 a year?
Zero.
Hey, ICE says it's $129,000 a year to kidnap people off the street. Let's quit beating. Let's make our government accountable. It is absolutely ludicrous that we're paying kidnappers to take workers off the street.
Exactly.
And pay teachers a paltry sum. Many of the teachers have to go on Medicaid if they didn't receive state health care in order just to make ends meet. That's ridiculous. So, Darian, thank you for your time. Thank you for letting us know what you stand for and what's happening in the education world. And so, next up, we're going to have Sabrina Boswell. She is from the Democratic Socialists of America. And that may be a scary term to some, but I think
Not me.
you'll learn if you listen to what her stance is, that it's really more in line with making corporations and billionaires pay their fair share.
Exactly.
And that's all anybody's asking them to do. A 2% increase to the top 1% of taxes could fund health care and numerous other programs that the federal government is now stripping away piece by piece.
Exactly.
It's taken years to build. So, without further ado, Ms. Sabrina Boswell.
Woo!
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Labor Day. How is everyone doing?
Yeah. Woo!
As we can, huh? My name is Sabrina Boswell. I'm with the Central Mississippi chapter of Democratic Socialists of America. I'm also a Mississippi-based organizer. I'm born, raised, and very worked in Mississippi. From the age of 16, I got a job the day of my birthday. I went down the road to a Dairy Queen and I just applied, got a cut. I applied and got the job day of. From high school, I worked. I went to school all day and worked until about 10, 11 p.m. at night at a Dairy Queen. Until that job turned into another job, until school turned into college, and school and 2 jobs. And then you look up one day and you're like, man, I need a 3rd job. And you're at your 2nd job in front of people within your generation, Generation Z. I'm 28, I'm the eldest of this generation. And every single person at this bar that you're bartending on a Wednesday night, all Gen Z, all working a 2nd job, all that own a home. We don't own homes. Heck, the only thing most of us Gen Z own is what's in my hand right here. The privatization of everything from our parking to our water. What's next? Our air? So thank you 5051 for inviting us here to speak out today. Being a worker, labor is something that touches very close to me. As someone just from Mississippi who's worked and tried to go to school and paid for school, and that didn't work out, so when that doesn't work out, you go into community organizing. So I wanted to also just speak some words on labor and what we've heard today, especially from educators, from teachers, and the fact that they're raising our future, they're teaching our future. They're helping our children, and we can't even give them a livable wage. $7.25 is still the floor. It costs $17 and some change to get a 1-bedroom apartment in Jackson. It's just not livable, but we're working. And we're told to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, and some of us have pulled it up so much that it yanked off.
Exactly.
But we keep on, and that's something I really have to hone in on and just distill in everyone that sparkle of hope. I wanted to actually quote someone that I'm sure we're all a little familiar with by now, Zoran Mamdani. He's a Democratic candidate for the New York mayor in New York.
Mayor, yep.
I wanted to just quote him and just leave everybody with this today. Zoran Mandani, a self-described democratic socialist, put it simply, "We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city that they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the
This
fruits
is
of their
in
labor
Jackson,
in the day.
Mississippi.
That spirit, one of solidarity, hope, and collective demand, is
Hello.
exactly what we embody here in Jackson, in central Mississippi, and Mississippi alone. On this Labor Day, let's recommit ourselves to that spirit, organizing, building, demanding dignity for every worker across Mississippi, because together, as we stand in solidarity, we are stronger." So thank you again, 5051, for letting us come out and just speak some words today. If you like, we are over there at that little red table. We have some events coming up on September 20th, some cleanup, some things around Capital City Pride as well. We do a lot of volunteering. We're very, very
Yes,
involved
this is in
with the
Jackson,
community, because
Mississippi.
We just believe that there's no way to get better unless you're in the community.
Deep
and
South.
doing something. So thank you. My name is Sabrina Boswell, again, Central Mississippi, Democratic Socialists of America. And thank you again, 5051.
Thank you. Woo!
Thank you, Sabrina. I think what she really wanted to say is, hey, hey, ho, ho, poverty wages need to go. 1, 2, 3. Hey, hey, ho, ho, poverty wages need to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, poverty wages need to go. Yeah!
Hi.
And now,
Thank you for watching.
Mr. James Bowman.
Thank you for joining us.
From the he's a religious studies professor at Millsaps College. We'd like to welcome him and let him give you his perspective on this Labor Day.
Thank you so much, Derek. I appreciate it. I am just a scholar of religions and the rise of fascism in Nazi Germany. And I was asked to come speak about those things today. And I'm very thankful to Derek and to the whole 5051 organization, which has organized all this, because this type of events, this type of solidarity and more is what we actually need. I was asked to talk about fascism.
Me being unhappy is the reason why I have adjusted my views.
And what can be done about it. So first of all, what is fascism? Fascism is rule characterized by authoritarian leaders, centralized power, that is power within one group. And you can see that happening in the U.S., right?
But
Power
thank you for watching.
centralized in the executive branch and president. It is also characterized by suppression of opposition. Okay, so people who are opposed might get thrown in jail. There is censorship that is practiced. There is removal of funding for organizations that are acting in ways that the government doesn't want. And there is also the suppression of, and this is very important, individual human rights. That is, when people speak out, when people act against something, then the government or the authoritarian group will, again, put them in jail or whatever. This also often is characterized by racism. So if you study fascism, you'll see that racism is almost always a part.
Yep.
And it didn't come up in this speeches today about education in Mississippi, but we all know the history of racism in education in Mississippi, right?
Yep.
And it's still there. It is still there. And racism is still in our country and getting stronger with ICE and other agencies. Also, fascism can be practiced at any level. Of course, when we use the word fascism, we usually think of governments. And when it is with governments, then it involves military and things like that. But it can be used by many organizations, even if they don't have an army. So don't think that fascism can just be practiced by a national government. Okay, so what is authoritarianism? Well, authoritarianism is the demand and enforcement of obedience to a leader at the expense of individual rights and freedom. So authoritarianisms like fascism are always going after the individual because they want to separate out the individual and make them feel like they are all alone and don't have the support. So, of course, all fascist governments and organizations are also authoritarian. Authoritarianism really precedes fascism in most of the evolvements of fascism. But don't think that just because something might not measure up to all those characteristics of fascism, that it's not bad. Authoritarianism is bad enough. Okay? It is terrible for us all and for workers and for everyone who's not a billionaire or is not in power at the time. So, what are some signs of authoritarianism and fascism that we might look out for? Well, if you've been watching the news in the last 10 months, you know lots of those signs. But if we break them down into categories, one major one is suppression. Suppression of ideas, demand for obedience to a leader or something like that. Many times we've heard stories about ICE agents coming and telling people to do that, do such and such when they don't have any power to do that. So it's all about control and making people obey. Also, of course, authoritarianism is ruled by a few. How many of you got to vote on the ICE agencies and what they should and shouldn't do in Mississippi or anywhere else? None of you, none of
Exactly.
us. Okay, so instead, it's just being decided by a centralized authority when it should be, all policing and everything else should be something that should be decided at various levels for the purpose of helping all people. Also in authoritarianism, there's also an emphasis on order and efficiency. We can get things done so much easier. It will be so much better if you just let us do it. It will be so much faster. It will be so much more orderly if you let it happen with us in charge. And that is true. Democracy is messy. Democracy is not simple. And it demands people work together and disagree. That's the whole point of democracy. And this is one reason why. Authoritarianism and fascism is very attractive, maybe even seductive. We should not think that in 1930s Germany, fascism came because the army came and knocked on your door and said, "Hey, we're fascists now." No, it came just like it's coming here. Okay, it came by dividing people. It came by arresting some people and not others. And it is, of course, what is behind the most famous poem about fascism, which is not written by a poet who said, "I'm going to sit in my nice little study and write a poem about fascism." No, it's a person who went to jail. Martin Niemöller, who wasn't Jewish, but he also didn't speak out when he should have. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the trade unions, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade union.
Exactly.
Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew.
Exactly.
Then they came for me, and there was no one left.
It's too late.
Speak out. That is the way fascism works. That is the way authoritarianism works. You divide people, you seclude people, especially individuals, and make them feel as if they're all alone. They don't have any support from anyone, so I guess I'll just give in. That is the way fascism, authoritarianism is working today already. Okay? And when groups are not yet targeted, life is easy. Okay? It was easy for me to come down here. Okay? I drove, it was no problem. There were no checkpoints for me. I didn't get arrested. I don't worry about getting arrested by ICE. But that's today. What's tomorrow? What's next month?
Exactly.
Fascism ultimately aims to control everyone, okay, and everything about everyone's life. And authoritarianism does the same thing in slightly more hospitable ways, if we can use that word. So how do we go about slowing and stopping fascism? First of all, this is super important. Do not obey in advance.
Exactly. Exactly.
I see organizations do this, companies do this, schools do this. Take down their DEI pages. Stop talking about that stuff. Remove those offices. We don't want Trump's office to know that we do that DEI. Was there ever an order to stop that?
Nope.
No, there was never an order. They're just obeying in advance.
Exactly.
What they're doing is collaborating with fascists and authoritarians. Okay? And if
Pups over.
If we obey in advance and collaborate,
Pups over profit.
it's over. Because as each group collaborates, because nothing's happening to me, it's not going to hurt me. As
Thank you,
each
Ultra.
group does that, at the end of the day, then it's they came for me. Don't think that you're so lucky. Don't think that you're special. Just because you haven't been targeted yet. That's not the way authoritarianism works. It's not the way fascism works. Second of all, no self-censorship. The greatest
Thank you for
victory
watching.
of fascism and
Thank you for joining us.
authoritarianism is getting people to shut the fuck up.
Glad that we could be a part of your life.
Okay? Getting people to not speak out. To say, oh, I don't really know if I want to say that to my neighbor or whoever. My job, right. So speaking up is super important, and if we self-censor, or if we self-censor before we're even told, again, we've lost. No self-censorship, no obedience in advance. Thirdly, and this is what you all are doing right here, standing with other people who are speaking up, coming to rallies like this. Someone gave me this great phrase, solidarity is not a feeling. Oh, it feels so good inside. I get that. But solidarity is not a feeling. Solidarity is a strategy. Okay? We
Yes.
need to be strategic.
Woo!
We need to work together. We need to come together. I was a member of a labor union for about 18 years, and I appreciate so much labor unions. And even though I'm not a member now, I still want to show up. I still want to be in solidarity with labor
Exactly.
unions like all of us.
I've never been in one, but I'm still in
We are here
solidarity.
again because of labor unions on a beautiful Labor Day. And guess what? There's lots of our friends and colleagues who can't because their businesses or whatever don't care about Labor Day. We don't care about
Because they ultimately help
the
everybody.
values of labor unions. Okay. So the other thing is, part of solidarity is to help each other because, as I mentioned before, authoritarianism and fascism are all about making people, individuals, feel isolated. And if we as a group can stand together, whether it's with a friend or with a whole group of us, and speak out for those people, should say speak with those people, then we are actually in solidarity, and it becomes a strategy for us. Finally, we must hold authoritarians accountable as best we can in solidarity with each other. So as our movement, if we want to be positive and optimistic, as our movement gains power, then we want to be sure we hold people in power now responsible, right? We want to hold them accountable for what they do. And finally, when we do achieve some level of power, we have to be sure we don't become another authoritarian group where we're the ones who get to decide. No, it's about labor unions and lots of other people being together to share power. So we are all about sharing power, and I hope we do that all together. So, thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Woo!
Anybody know who this is? She wants to take over.
Very quickly, thank you all so much for being here. I'm Kathleen O'Byrne, and I appreciate James's message and everybody else who's spoken today too. Speaking of fascism and how to fight fascism, one way to do it is for us to stay united and to stay organized. And so you will see floating around the crowd these clipboards with a QR code. If you scan the QR code, you can put in your name and your email address, and that will enable you to get one email from me a week about ways that you can stand up, can speak up, can show up, unite to combat these awful things happening in our state and in our country. You'll get information about protests that are happening throughout the state. I hope to have information about, for example, the House Education Freedom Committee, their next meeting, so you can show up for those, because I promise you, the fascists who wear their cute little red jackets, they're showing up. They are organized. And if we have any hope of turning the situation around, we have to get organized too. So if you will, scan the QR code, sign up for the emails, and hopefully that'll be a way to keep us united and organized and in community with each other, because absolutely the solidarity and the community is one of the most important aspects of all of this. The second thing is, if you're interested in a Fed Up, Speak Up t-shirt, they're for sale for $10. It's just the cost of production. They're over here at the table where Beth is waving her hand. You can pay cash or you can do Venmo or Cash App. On the back of the t-shirt is another QR code, and that is to download the 5 Calls app, and it is a fabulous way to communicate with your elected officials. It will educate you on what the issues are. It will make sure you know which officials you need to call on what issues. It will even give you a script, and it will dial their phone number for you. So
Great.
Awesome. These t-shirts are a great way to get the word out to help people start to literally speak up. Last thing is, we still have postcards left over from our Good Trouble party back in July. So if you're interested in sending postcards to our elected officials, please stop by that table as well. The message is already written for you. You literally have to sign your name and address the postcard. You can also take some with you if you'd like to do that. Have some friends over, have some drinks, write some postcards, build community, resist. All right, thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Woo!
Thank you, Kathleen. Get involved. This lady's awesome. She'll certainly send you an email, at least one, if not more. And let me tell you what, one thing James said is super important, and that's staying solid, solidarity, united. Because, as Abraham Lincoln said, I was just reminded, a house divided cannot stand. So therefore, there's more of us than there are of them. There's more people that have compassion for their neighbor.
Yep.
More people
Yep.
that think kidnapping is wrong. There's more people
Yep.
that think government has overreached to the point of oppression.
Yep.
They're just staying silent. Let's get them involved. Talk to a neighbor, talk to a friend. If you see or you hear, take the moment to stand up for what's right. Because if we don't do it now, it might be too late. People are worried about authoritarianism coming to America, or fascism coming. Folks, it's here.
It's already here.
Look around you at all of the rapid changes that have happened in the past 10 months. Who among you thought we would end up at this place today? The time for action is now. The time to stop it was yesterday. But more than that, each individual, every one of you, including me, every one of us can make a difference if we have the will to do so. Right?
Yep.
And that's why you're
Exactly.
here. Bring friends.
Woo!
And now, from the Central Mississippi Labor Council, I'd like to introduce Mr. James Jermaine Travis.
Woo!
Good afternoon, how y'all doing? Now, I'm a union man through and through. And when we do rallies, we have those slogans that we say. So when I say we fight, y'all should say we win. Y'all ready?
All right.
When we fight,
We win!
when we fight.
We win!
Sounds good. Thank you all. That's my speech. No, I'm joking. All right. Brothers, sisters, and friends. My name, as Brother Hall said, is Jermaine Travis, and I am a member of the Communications Workers of America, Local 3511, where I serve as local president. I'm here to speak with you on behalf of the Central Mississippi Central Labor Council, where I serve as vice president. Now, you ask, what is the Central Mississippi Central Labor Council? We are the central body of the state AFL-CIO. What is that? AFL stands for American Federation of Labor. CIO stands for Congress of Industrial Organizations. Essentially, we are simply just a space or a table, a central table, where all unions can get together and work on behalf of the American people, or workers, I should say, right? So essentially, the central labor unions came together and we formed what? Labor Day. That's what we got, Labor Day. So today we gather not just for a holiday, but for a purpose. I got a little speech for you, y'all. It's not very long. Labor Day was born out of struggle, out of workers standing together, shoulder to shoulder, demanding dignity, fair pay, safe workspaces, and the right to organize. It's a day that honors those who fought and sacrificed so that working people could have a voice at work and in their communities, okay? On Saturday, oftentimes we forget to tell folk thank you. So the Central Labor Council went out to a nursing home too, and we actually recognized the workers just to say thank you. There were people CNAs, cooks at the nursing home to take care of our family members. We were just thank you, right? And it was amazing the response that it had to us. Just a simple thank you and recognition. We all need that. The very first Labor Day was celebrated in 1882 in New York City, when 10,000 workers marched through the streets calling for the 8-hour workday. So back then, people worked 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. Even children, right? They worked in mills and factories. It was the bravery of those workers that planted the seed of this holiday. And by the way, back then, there was no government or corporation that recognized Labor Day. So what they did was, they all called a one-day strike. And that one-day strike led to Labor Day. It's the first Monday in September. Little history thing. But it wasn't just about parades and rallies. It was about the sacrifice. The fight of workers' rights came at a cost. Back in the Chicago's Haymarket Affair of 1886, workers demanding the 8-hour workday were met with violence. In the Pullman strike of 1894, federal troops opened fire on striking railroad workers, killing dozens. And out of that bloodshed, President Grover Cleveland signed Labor Day into law, an acknowledgement of the workers' power and sacrifice. Again, when we fight,
We win.
right. In the present day, Labor Day reminds us that our fight is not finished. Wages still lag behind the cost of living. Too many families live paycheck to paycheck, and workers are still punished for speaking up on the job. But look around. Unions, we're back. We're back. We're rising. Workers in every industry, from warehouses to hospitals to classrooms, are organizing, striking. AT&T, we struck last year. CWA, oh, I'm sorry. No. And we're winning. We are proving once more that when we stand together, we cannot be ignored. And for the future, Labor Day is a promise that the next generation will inherit a stronger labor movement, one that fights for economic justice, racial justice, gender equity, and dignity on the job. A promise that no matter how powerful a company is, they will never be stronger than the power of working people that are united. So today, let's honor the past, fight in the present, and commit to the future. Together, we are building a labor movement that will not just survive, but thrive for all workers everywhere. Again, when we fight,
We win.
thank you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you. Woo.
Happy Labor Day. Thank you, Jermaine. Well, we all appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out today. What Jermaine reminded me of is I have a client right now whose husband was seriously injured and was in the ICU for days. She was new on her job, so her boss was, he had a heart. He thought, well, I'll give you the day off. Except her husband was really seriously injured. They have 4 kids. She has to supply for them now that he can't. The second day, she called in sick because she needed to be there to support him, to make sure he was going to live. And what happened? You got it. She was fired from her job for taking care of a sick relative who needed her help. Labor unions help fight things like that. We need to support our neighbors and friends, support the labor unions. I know they've gotten a bad name, but that's from those people on the far right. They don't like anything except more money and more funding for their pet projects. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for coming out. It's great to see every one of you. Let's go forth and carry the message. Fight, 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 and never give up. Liberty and freedom is worth it.
Woo! thank you for joining. I guess the last time, swap over here. The last time we actually walked around the entire Capitol, and then came back and had some speeches. But I guess we're not. That's not the plan this time. But we have a pretty good gathering. I'd say roughly somewhere between maybe 250 people here. Not bad for just, you know, a Labor Day where people are trying to just relax. But thank you for joining me, and I hope that are joining us in this for trying to stand for, you know, workers, for the, you know, and all the concerns and issues that people all over the nation are having with the current situation or state of our country, and billionaire takeover of, you know, of everything they can get their hands on, along with the administration and things that people are unhappy with when it comes to our education, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to our affiliations and support for overseas wars and stuff, genocides, everything else that we, you know, have talked about on this channel and do not agree with. And that's saying it nicely. So thank you very much again for joining in. If you viewed, if you commented, if you liked, share. Like I said, this is in Jackson, Mississippi. It's a small, I expected a small gathering here. Hopefully, I know there were over 1,000 locations all over the country that were expected to have some type of gathering of some sort, actions and stuff. Hopefully everybody was safe. Hopefully everybody, you know, it went well, had good turnout. But yeah, it seems that that's concluding here. People are little by little kind of making their way out. So thank you very much. And again, I know I've said that probably 5 or 6 times. And I will see you next time. Peace. Clear Talk. I'm out.